Captain Hana Kim stood on the bridge of the Horizon's Hope and stared at the massive alien station floating in the darkness of space. After 200 years of dreaming about this moment, humanity had finally done it. They had traveled faster than light. They had found other intelligent life. And now, they were about to make first contact. "Status report," Hana said quietly. Her voice was calm, but her heart was racing. "All systems normal, Captain," her second officer replied. "The alien station is scanning us. No weapons detected." Hana nodded. Behind her stood Ambassador Taemin Park, a tall man with kind eyes and silver hair. He had spent his entire life preparing for this moment. He wore Earth's finest diplomatic uniform, and he carried a data chip containing messages of peace from every nation on Earth. "They're responding to our hails," the communications officer announced. "Audio and visual coming through now." The main screen flickered to life. A creature appeared that looked nothing like a human. It had 4 arms, blue skin, and eyes that glowed with a soft purple light. When it spoke, the ship's computer translated its words into Korean, then into English, then into every language humanity knew. "Greetings, travelers from Earth," the alien said. Its voice was like music. "I am Ambassador Kelvin of the Galactic Coalition. We have been watching your world for some time. We are pleased that you have finally joined us among the stars." Taemin stepped forward and bowed respectfully. "Thank you for welcoming us, Ambassador Kelvin. Humanity comes in peace. We seek friendship, knowledge, and cooperation with all species in the galaxy." The alien tilted its head in what might have been a smile. "That is good to hear. The Coalition has existed for 3,000 of your years. 12 species live together in harmony. We have no war, no hunger, no suffering. We would be honored if Earth would join us." Hana felt hope surge through her chest. This was everything humanity had dreamed of. Peace. Unity. A place among the stars. Over the following weeks, the Horizon's Hope docked at the Coalition's main station, Viridian Prime. Dr. Jia Li, the ship's xenobiologist, worked day and night to understand the aliens' biology and culture. She walked through markets where creatures from a dozen worlds sold strange and wonderful things. She tasted foods that had no names in any Earth language. She learned that the Coalition valued peace above all else. "They haven't had a war in over 1,000 years," Jia reported to Hana one evening. "They've forgotten what it's like to fight. They settle all disputes through talking and compromise." "That's beautiful," Hana said. But something in her gut felt uneasy. She couldn't explain it. Back on Earth, Admiral Hyun Choi watched the reports with careful eyes. He was an old soldier, a man who had fought in Earth's last great war 40 years ago. He had seen the worst of humanity, but he had also seen the best. "They seem too perfect," Hyun said to his staff. "Nobody is perfect. Every species has darkness in them. Perhaps they've simply evolved beyond violence," one of his officers suggested. Hyun shook his head. "Maybe, but we should be careful. Let's continue building our defenses, just in case." "Sir, the government wants us to redirect 70% of our military budget to peaceful exploration and trade infrastructure," another officer said. Hyun sighed. "Then we'll do that, but we'll keep the other 30% ready. Always ready." On Viridian Prime, Ambassador Taemin negotiated Earth's entry into the Coalition. The aliens asked for access to Earth's resources. They wanted to mine asteroids in the solar system. They wanted to establish embassies on Earth. In return, they offered technology, medicine, and protection. "Protection from what?" Taemin asked. "There are dangers in the galaxy," Kelvin said smoothly. "Pirates. Rogue worlds. Natural disasters. The Coalition keeps its members safe," Taemin agreed. It seemed like a fair deal. But there was one species in the Coalition that worried him. They were called the Vrakul. They were tall, with scales like reptiles, and eyes like cold fire. Their leader, High Overlord Vekthar, barely hid his contempt when he looked at humans. "Your species is so young," Vekthar said during one meeting. His voice dripped with condescension. You still kill each other over resources and beliefs. You are barely civilized. Taemin kept his composure. We are learning. We are growing. That's why we're here. Indeed, Vekthar said with something like a smile. You are here to learn your place. Jia witnessed this exchange and reported it to Hana. I don't trust the Vrakul, she said. They look at us like we're prey. Stay alert, Hana ordered. But we're here for peace. Let's give them a chance. Months passed. Earth shared its medical knowledge with the Coalition. Human doctors had developed treatments for diseases that the aliens had never solved. Earth's musicians performed concerts that brought alien audiences to tears. Human engineers helped build stations and ships. The galaxy began to see humanity as useful, interesting, but still inferior. Taemin worked tirelessly to change that perception. He gave speeches about human potential. He organized cultural exchanges. He built friendships with ambassadors from other worlds. Slowly, carefully, he earned respect. Finally, after 6 months of negotiations, the Coalition invited Earth to a grand ceremony. On Viridian Prime, in front of representatives from all 12 species, Earth would be officially welcomed as the 13th member of the Galactic Coalition. This is it, Taemin told Hana as they prepared for the ceremony. This is what we worked for. Peace, unity, a future among the stars. Hana smiled, but that uneasy feeling in her gut had never gone away. I hope you're right, she said. On Earth, Admiral Hyun watched the preparations on his view screen. He had diverted 70% of the military budget as ordered. But with the remaining 30%, he had done something in secret. He had kept Earth's weapons sharp. He had kept soldiers training. He had kept humanity's old warrior instincts alive, just in case. Sir, shouldn't we send a military escort with the ambassador? One of his officers asked. The Coalition forbids military vessels at the ceremony, Hyun said. It would be seen as an insult, as a sign we don't trust them. Do we trust them? Hyun was quiet for a long moment. No, he finally said. But Taemin believes in them. And we must support our people. The Horizon's Hope departed for Viridian Prime, carrying Ambassador Taemin Park and a delegation of Earth's finest diplomats, scientists, and artists. They brought gifts. They brought hope. They brought humanity's dream of a peaceful future. Captain Hana Kim piloted the ship through the stars, watching the alien station grow larger on her view screen. In a few hours, they would dock. In a few days, Earth would join the Coalition. Everything humanity had worked for was about to come true, but deep in her heart, in a place she didn't want to acknowledge, Hana felt something was wrong. She felt like they were sailing into a trap. She felt like they were being hunted. She pushed the feeling down and focused on flying. After all, humanity had come in peace. They had shown only kindness. They had proven themselves worthy. Surely nothing bad could happen now. The ceremony hall on Viridian Prime was beautiful beyond words. Crystal pillars rose toward a dome that showed the stars above. Representatives from all 12 Coalition species sat in sections arranged in a perfect circle. In the center stood a raised platform where Ambassador Taemin Park would soon accept Earth's membership. Captain Jiwoo Nam stood near the entrance with his security team. He was a former Special Forces soldier, and his instincts were screaming at him. Something felt wrong. The other species guards carried weapons. The humans did not. The Coalition had insisted it would be an insult to bring arms to a peace ceremony. Stay sharp, Jiwoo whispered to his team. Watch the exits. Watch the Vrakul. Across the hall, High Overlord Vekthar sat with his Vrakul delegation. They wore ceremonial armor that gleamed like blood under the lights. Vekthar's eyes tracked every human in the room like a predator watching prey. Dr. Sumi Yoon, Earth's scientific advisor, stood beside Taemin on the platform. She held a data chip containing Earth's greatest scientific discoveries, ready to share with the galaxy. She was smiling, but her hands trembled slightly. Are you nervous? Taemin asked her gently. I'm excited, Sumi said. This is the greatest day in human history. Taemin nodded. He looked out at the assembled aliens and felt pride swell in his chest. All his life, He had worked for this moment. Peace between species. Harmony among the stars. Finally, humanity would have a home in the galaxy. Ambassador Kelvin rose to begin the ceremony. Today, we welcome Earth into our great coalition. A species that has shown wisdom, generosity, and a deep desire for peace. We are honored to call humans our brothers and sisters. Applause filled the hall. It came from all species except the Vrakul. They sat in silence. Taemin stepped forward to give his acceptance speech. On behalf of all humanity, I thank you. We come from a world that has known war. We have fought each other. We have destroyed each other. But we learned, we grew. We chose a better path. Today, we pledge ourselves to the Coalition's ideals. We will never raise weapons against our fellow species. We will always seek peace first. The words had barely left his mouth when the lights went out. Emergency systems kicked in a second later, bathing the hall in red light. But in that moment of darkness, Jiwoo heard the sound of weapons powering up. He grabbed Taemin and pulled him down just as energy blasts tore through the air where the ambassador had been standing. "Contact!" Jiwoo shouted. His security team formed a protective circle around the human delegation. But they had no weapons, nothing to fight back with. The Vrakul delegation stood as one, armed with rifles that they had somehow smuggled into the hall. Vekthar's voice boomed over the chaos. "Fools! Did you really think we invited you here to join us? You are resources. Nothing more. Your world will be ours. Your people will serve or die." Across the galaxy, Jiwoo would learn later, the attack was happening everywhere at once. Coalition ships appeared over Earth's colonies. They didn't send warnings. They didn't offer terms. They simply opened fire. Orbital stations exploded. Colony domes shattered. Millions of humans died in the first 10 minutes. On Earth itself, Admiral Hyun Choi watched in horror as the reports came in. Earth's peaceful outposts were being slaughtered. The colony on Mars, the mining stations around Jupiter, the research base on Europa, all of them burning. "Get me a battle status now," Hyun roared. "Sir, our defensive fleet is responding. But we're outnumbered 3-1, an officer reported. "The coalition ships are more advanced. They've been preparing for this. It was all a lie," Hyun said, his voice cold with fury. "They never wanted peace. They wanted to make us weak, make us lower our guard." "Orders, sir?" Hyun's eyes hardened. "Activate Protocol Nightmare. Send the recall signal to every human in the galaxy. And wake up the weapons." Back on Viridian Prime, Jiwoo and his team were fighting a losing battle. They had taken weapons from the first few Vrakul they killed. But there were too many enemies. The other coalition species watched from their seats, doing nothing to help. Some looked ashamed. Others looked satisfied. Dr. Sumi fell with a blast to her shoulder. Jiwoo dragged her behind cover as Taemin tried to activate his emergency communicator. "This is Ambassador Park to Horizon's Hope," Taemin said, his voice strained. "We are under attack. All humans, evacuate immediately. This is not a drill. The coalition has betrayed us." Captain Hana Kim's voice crackled back. "Ambassador, we're on our way." "Hold on." But the Horizon's Hope was docked too far away. It would take 10 minutes to reach them. Jiwoo knew they didn't have 10 minutes. "We need to move," Jiwoo said. "There's a maintenance corridor behind the north wall. If we can reach it, we can get to the docking bay." "What about the others?" Taemin asked. Several human delegates lay wounded or dead across the hall. "We save who we can," Jiwoo said harshly. "Or we all die here." They ran. Jiwoo fired behind them to cover their escape. The Vrakul pursued, laughing as they hunted. They weren't just trying to kill the humans, they were enjoying it. The small group burst into the maintenance corridor. Alarms were screaming throughout the station. They could hear explosions in the distance. Other humans were fighting for their lives in different sections. "Keep moving," Jiwoo ordered. They ran through narrow passages filled with pipes and wiring. Behind them, the Vrakul were getting closer. Jiwoo set up a trap with a damaged power conduit. When the first Vrokul rounded the corner, the explosion killed 5 of them. It bought precious seconds. Finally, they reached the docking bay. The Horizon's Hope was there, hovering with its doors open. Hana Kim stood at the ramp with a rifle she had pulled from the ship's emergency locker. "Get in!" she shouted, firing over their heads at pursuing Vrokul. The survivors scrambled aboard. Ji-woo carried Sumi, who was barely conscious. Tae-min was the last to board, and as he turned to look back at the station, a Vrokul shot caught him in the chest. "No!" Hana screamed. She pulled Tae-min inside as Ji-woo fired at the Vrokul. The ship's doors sealed, and Hana pushed the engines to maximum. They tore away from the station as coalition ships began firing on them. Tae-min lay on the deck, blood spreading across his diplomatic uniform. Ji-woo applied pressure to the wound. But it was bad. Very bad. "Hana," Tae-min whispered. "Send a message to Earth. Tell them what happened here. Tell them we tried peace. We tried so hard." "Save your strength," Hana said, tears streaming down her face. "We'll get you to a medical bay." But Tae-min shook his head. He knew he was dying. With trembling hands, he reached up to his communicator. "This is Ambassador Tae-min Park. Final transmission to Earth. The Coalition has betrayed us. They never wanted peace. They wanted to make us weak so they could take everything. We tried to be better. We tried to show them kindness. But kindness is not enough." His voice was getting weaker. Blood bubbled at his lips. "Tell Admiral Hyun. Tell them all. No more mercy. Show them what we really are. Show them the other side of mankind." The light faded from his eyes. Ambassador Tae-min Park, who had dedicated his life to peace, died knowing that peace was a lie. Hana Kim closed his eyes gently. Then she stood and walked to the bridge. Her face was wet with tears, but her expression was harder than diamond. "Set course for Earth," she said. "Maximum speed. And someone get me Admiral Hyun on the quantum link." Behind them, Viridian Prime grew smaller. Ahead of them, home waited. But it would not be the same home they had left. The humans who returned from this betrayal would not be the same humans who had left seeking peace. The galaxy had made a terrible mistake. They had assumed humanity's kindness was weakness. They had mistaken peace for pacifism. They had forgotten that sometimes the most dangerous creatures are the ones who choose not to fight, but that choice could be unmade. The Horizon's Hope raced through the stars, carrying survivors who would tell Earth what had happened, and Earth, in turn, would show the galaxy something it had never seen before. The sleeping giant was about to wake up. The war room beneath Earth's military command was built to survive anything. Nuclear war, asteroid impact, even alien invasion. Now, 3 days after the betrayal, it was filled with the leaders of humanity's military forces. Every screen showed the same terrible numbers. 27 colonies destroyed. 15 million humans dead. 43 ships lost. Admiral Hyun Choi stood at the head of the table. He had not slept in 72 hours. His eyes were red, but his voice was steady and cold. "They think they've won," Hyun said. "They think we're broken. They expect us to surrender." He paused and looked at each person in the room. They're about to learn they made the worst mistake in galactic history. General Dae-jung Kang, commander of ground forces, leaned forward. He was a tactical genius who had studied every war in human history. "What are our orders, Admiral?" "Total war," Hyun said simply. "No mercy. No prisoners. We show them what humans really are when you take everything from us." A younger officer raised his hand nervously. "Sir, our military was reduced. We only kept 30% of our forces active. The rest were converted to peaceful purposes." Hyun allowed himself a small, cold smile. "That's what we told the Coalition. Captain, activate the hidden files. Show them Protocol Nightmare." The screens changed. Data flooded across them. Ship designs. Weapon specifications. Military bases that officially didn't exist. The young officer's mouth fell open. "For the past 6 months, while we pretended to build peace, We were actually preparing for this, Hyun explained. We converted civilian ships, yes. But we designed them to be reconverted back to warships in 72 hours. We reduced our active military, but we kept training soldiers in secret. We shared our medical technology, but we kept our weapons technology hidden. Dr. Nari Song, the weapons research director, stood up. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and brilliant mind. We never stopped developing new weapons. We just stopped testing them where the coalition could see. While they thought we were peaceful, we were actually preparing for the worst. Show them the special projects, Hyun ordered. Nari brought up files that made even the hardened generals in the room look uncomfortable. Kinetic bombardment systems that could shatter planets. Biological weapons designed specifically for each coalition species' biology. Nuclear weapons far more powerful than anything Earth had used in its own wars. And something called Project Quantum Reaper. What is that last one? General Dae-jung asked. Quantum entanglement weapons, Nari explained. Hit one ship, and every ship in its fleet feels it. The Coalition's peaceful society never imagined such a thing. They don't even have theories about weapons like this. Across the room, Commander Hana Kim listened to all this with mixed feelings. She had returned from Viridian Prime 3 days ago. She had watched Ambassador Tae-min die. She had seen human colonies burning. Part of her was horrified by what Earth had prepared. Another part was grimly satisfied. Where's Captain Ji-woo? Hana asked. Already deployed, Hyun said. He's leading special operations teams behind enemy lines. Sabotage. Assassination. Psychological warfare. Everything the coalition thinks is barbaric. Because it is barbaric, said one of the political advisors. These weapons, these tactics, were becoming the monsters they accused us of being. Hyun turned to face the advisor. His voice was like ice. They murdered 15 million of our people. They attacked our children. They burned our homes. And they did it while smiling and calling it peace. If being monsters is what it takes to survive, then we'll be monsters. The galaxy will learn to fear us. And maybe then, they'll think twice before attacking humans again. The room fell silent. Everyone knew he was right. There was no going back now. General Dae-jung, you'll lead the ground operations, Hyun continued. Dr. Nari, I want those quantum weapons ready in 2 weeks. Commander Hana, I'm giving you a ship. The Retribution. It's our newest experimental warship. You'll lead the Vanguard fleet. Hana stood straight. What are our targets? Everything, Hyun said. We hit their supply lines, their communication networks, their civilian infrastructure. We make them feel what we felt. And we start with the Vrakul Empire. They led this attack. They'll be the first to fall. Over the next weeks, Earth transformed. Every factory that had been making peaceful goods switched to making weapons. Every civilian who could fly a ship or fire a weapon volunteered. Humanity remembered what it was like to be at war. And they remembered that they were very, very good at it. The coalition, meanwhile, was celebrating. They had taken Earth's colonies. They had resources and territory. High Overlord Vekthar of the Vrakul gave speeches about how easy it had been to trick the primitive humans. They believed every word we said, Vekthar told his council. They thought we wanted peace. But we are conquerors. We take what we want. And Earth has so much to take. But then the reports started coming in. A Vrakul supply convoy vanished without a trace. A coalition communication station went dark. A Vrakul colony world reported seeing strange ships in orbit before all contact was lost. At first, Vekthar ignored it. Random accidents, technical problems. But the incidents kept happening. And they were getting worse. Captain Ji-woo Nam stood in the ruins of a Vrakul military base. His team had infiltrated it 3 hours ago. Now, every Vrakul soldier was dead. And the base's data files were being transmitted to Earth. Ji-woo looked at the bodies without emotion. These creatures would have killed more humans if given the chance. This was justice. Plant the charges, he ordered. Let's send a message. When the base exploded, it could be seen from orbit. On the debris, Jiwoo's team had painted words in the Vrakul language. We are coming. In space, Commander Hana Kim sat in the captain's chair of the Retribution. It was unlike any ship Earth had built before. It was fast. It was deadly. And it carried weapons that the Coalition had never imagined. Target locked, her weapons officer reported. Vrakul patrol fleet detected. 5 ships. They outnumber us, someone said nervously. Hana smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. They think they outnumber us. Fire quantum weapons. The Retribution fired. One missile struck one Vrakul ship. But through quantum entanglement, all 5 ships felt the impact. Their shields collapsed simultaneously. Their engines failed together. And then conventional weapons finished what the quantum attack had started. 5 Vrakul ships died in seconds. The Retribution didn't even slow down. Continue to next target, Hana ordered. Let's see how many we can kill today. Back on Earth, Admiral Hyun watched the battle reports with satisfaction. Humanity was winning small victories everywhere. But he knew the real war hadn't started yet. The Coalition would respond. They would send their full military might, and then humanity would show them what total war really meant. Sir, incoming transmission. An officer said. It's from the Galactic Coalition. They're offering peace terms. Already, Hyun said with surprise. We've barely started. They're afraid, sir. We've killed more of their people in 3 weeks than they've lost in 1,000 years of peace. They want to negotiate. Hyun read the peace terms. The Coalition offered to return some human colonies. They offered reparations. They offered to leave Earth alone if humanity would stop attacking. What should we tell them, sir? The officer asked. Hyun remembered the images of burning colonies. He remembered the 15 million dead. He remembered Ambassador Tae-min dying on the deck of the Horizon's Hope after spending his life working for peace. Tell them no, Hyun said quietly. Tell them that humanity tried peace. We begged for it. We worked for it. We died for it. But they chose war instead. So now they'll get war. Real war. Human war. And we won't stop until they understand that attacking humanity was the worst decision they ever made. The officer hesitated. Sir, shouldn't we at least consider their offer? Record this message for the Coalition, Hyun said. He stood tall and stared directly into the camera. This is Admiral Hyun Choi of Earth. You attacked us when we came in peace. You murdered our people. You destroyed our homes. You thought we were weak because we chose not to fight. You were wrong. Humanity tried peace. Now you'll meet the other side of mankind. And we are just getting started. The message was sent across the galaxy. Every species in the Coalition received it. And for the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy knew fear. The Battle of Crimson Nebula would be remembered as the moment the galaxy truly understood what humans were capable of. Commander Hana Kim's fleet was outnumbered 3-1. 18 human ships against 54 Coalition vessels. Every military computer said it was suicide. But Hana had studied human history. She knew that humans did their best work when backed into a corner. They're arranging in standard Coalition attack formation, her tactical officer reported. They expect us to retreat. Good. Hana said calmly. Let them think that. Helm. Execute maneuver 37. Sir, that's a kamikaze attack pattern. We'll lose ships. Yes, Hana agreed. But they'll lose more. Trust me. Engage. The Retribution and her sister ships suddenly accelerated directly toward the Coalition fleet. The aliens hesitated, confused. This wasn't how civilized species fought. You were supposed to position carefully. Trade long-range fire. Follow tactical doctrine. You didn't just charge headfirst into superior numbers, but humans did. The human ships split into 3 groups at the last second. They dove through the Coalition formation like sharks through a school of fish. Quantum weapons fired. Kinetic missiles launched, and something new appeared on the battlefield. Nuclear mines that Hana's ships had dropped in their wake. The coalition formation collapsed into chaos. They had trained for organized warfare. They had protocols and procedures. But humans fought like wild animals. Unpredictable. Aggressive. Willing to take damage to deal damage. 2 human ships died in the first exchange. But 7 coalition vessels were destroyed, and 12 more were badly damaged. The numbers suddenly weren't so favorable anymore. "They're trying to regroup," the tactical officer said, amazed. "We broke their formation. Don't give them time," Hana ordered. "All ships, press the attack. Show them what happens when they corner humans." On the Vrakul homeworld, High Overlord Vekthar watched the battle reports with growing horror. How were humans winning? They were supposed to be weak, peaceful, easy to conquer. But every day brought news of more losses, more defeats, more death. "We need reinforcements," one of his generals said. "The human fleet is heading toward our core systems. Send everything," Vekthar ordered. "Every ship, every soldier. We crush them here and now." And they're 5. But even as he gave the order, explosions rocked the palace. Alarms screamed through the halls. Someone was attacking the homeworld itself. But how? The planetary shields were active. The orbital defenses were at full strength. No fleet could get through. Captain Jiwoo Nam could have told him how. While everyone watched the space battles, his special operations teams had infiltrated the planet's surface. They had sabotaged the shield generators. They had corrupted the defense systems. And now they were inside the palace itself. "Team 1, secure the North Tower," Jiwoo ordered over his communicator. "Team 2, with me. We're going for Vekthar." His team moved through the palace like ghosts. They had trained for this. While the coalition thought humans were peaceful, Earth's special forces had been practicing urban warfare, infiltration, and assassination. They weren't soldiers in the coalition's sense. They were something older, something more dangerous. They were hunters. The Vrakul guards died before they knew they were under attack. Jiwoo's team used weapons the coalition had never seen. Sonic disruptors that liquefied internal organs, plasma blades that cut through armor like paper. And for those special moments when they wanted to send a message, they used simple steel knives. There was a reason humans had kept those primitive weapons around. "Contact!" someone shouted. A squad of Vrakul elite guards poured into the corridor. These weren't like the other guards. These were the best warriors the Vrakul had. They were trained, they were strong, they were confident. They died anyway. Jiwoo and his team moved with a precision that came from thousands of years of human warfare. Every movement was efficient. Every shot hit its target. The Vrakul fought with honor and tradition. The humans fought to win. There was a difference. "Throne room ahead," Jiwoo said. "Remember, we take Vekthar alive. The Admiral wants to make an example." They breached the door with explosives. Inside, High Overlord Vekthar stood in his ceremonial armor, surrounded by his final guards. He looked at the humans with hatred and something else, something he had never felt before in his long life of conquest. Fear. "You cannot win," Vekthar snarled. "Even if you kill me, the coalition has thousands of worlds, billions of soldiers. You are just one species." Jiwoo walked forward calmly. His team eliminated the guards with cold efficiency. "You're right. We're just one species. But we're the species that survived our own homeworld. Do you know what that means? It means we grew up fighting. Every predator on Earth wanted to eat us. Every disease wanted to kill us. Every natural disaster tried to wipe us out. And we survived them all. We climbed to the top of our food chain. And then we fought each other for 10,000 years. He stood in front of Vekthar now. "You thought peace made us weak. But peace was a choice. And when you attacked our families, you made us remember what we really are." Vekthar lunged with a blade. Jiwoo sidestepped easily and broke the Overlord's arm with a precise strike. Vekthar fell to his knees, howling in pain. "You're coming with us," Jiwoo said. "You're going to tell the galaxy what happens when you attack humanity. In space, The Battle of Crimson Nebula was ending. Of the 54 coalition ships, only 12 were still functional, and they were retreating. Of the 18 human ships, 8 survived, but they had won. Against all odds, they had won. Hana Kim sat in her damaged captain's chair and watched the enemy flee. Her ship was scarred, her crew was exhausted, but they were alive. Target the retreating ships? Her weapons officer asked. Hana almost said yes, but she stopped herself. No. Let them run. Let them tell the others what happened here. Fear is a weapon too. Across the galaxy, the message spread. Humans were winning. Not just surviving. Not just defending. They were pushing forward. They were attacking. They were showing no mercy. General Dae-Jung Kang led ground invasions on 3 coalition worlds. His tactics were brutal. He used psychological warfare. He made the coalition soldiers hear sounds in the night, made them see shadows where there were none. He turned their own fear against them. They train for organized warfare, Dae-Jung explained to his officers. They expect fair fights and honorable combat. So we give them the opposite. We hit them where they're weak. We attack when they sleep. We use their fear of the dark against them. Humans evolved as both predators and prey. We know how to hunt. And we know how to make others feel hunted. Pilot Yoon Lee became a legend in her own right. She flew a small fighter craft and destroyed 20 coalition ships in 2 weeks. She didn't follow any tactical doctrine. She flew by instinct. Like a bird. Like something wild. Coalition pilots couldn't predict her movements because there was nothing to predict. She just felt where to go. How do you do it? Her squadron leader asked after one mission. Yoon shrugged. I don't think about it. I just fly. Maybe that's the human advantage. We can be unpredictable even to ourselves. The coalition began to fracture. Some species wanted to sue for peace. Others wanted to keep fighting. But all of them were afraid. The humans had been peaceful. For 6 months. So peaceful and trusting. And then, when attacked, they had transformed into something terrifying. High Overlord Vekthar was brought before Admiral Hyun Choi in chains. The proud Vrakul leader was broken. His arm was in a cast. His scales were dull with defeat. I have terms, Vekthar said weakly. The Vrakul Empire will surrender. We will pay reparations. Just stop the attacks. Hyun looked at him without pity. You attacked us when we came in peace. You killed millions of us. You laughed while humans died. And now you want terms? Please, Vekthar said. It was the first time in his life he had begged. Your forces are outside our homeworld. Your Captain Ji-woo has taken our capital. We have nothing left. Exactly. Hyun said coldly. Now you know how we felt. Your people will surrender unconditionally. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier, and you will tell the rest of the coalition what happens when they attack Earth. Vekthar's broadcast went across the galaxy. He appeared broken and defeated. He spoke of how the Vrakul Empire had fallen to human forces, how humanity's weapons were beyond anything the coalition had imagined, how humans fought without honor, without mercy, without hesitation. They are not like us, Vekthar said. His voice hollow. They smile and speak of peace. But when you attack them, you awaken something ancient. Something that conquered their entire world. Do not make our mistake. Do not attack humanity. Because they will not stop. They will not forgive. They will come for you. And they will win. End quote. Within days, the coalition sent new peace terms. Actual terms this time. Not tricks. They would surrender. They would return human territory. They would face justice for their crimes. But Admiral Hyun wasn't satisfied. Not yet. We finish what they started, he told his command staff. We show them the full fury of mankind. And then, when they're broken, when they understand what they did, Then we'll talk about peace. The human fleet prepared for one final assault. The Coalition's capital world, Viridian Prime. The place where Ambassador Taemin had died. The place where this all began. For Taemin, Hana whispered as her fleet jumped to light speed. For all of them. We're coming. 2 years had passed since the war ended. Viridian Prime still bore the scars. Buildings had been rebuilt, but you could see where the battles had been fought. Where Commander Hana Kim's fleet had fought its way through orbital defenses. Where Captain Ji-woo's teams had hunted coalition leaders through the streets. Where humanity had proven once and for all that attacking Earth was a mistake no one would ever make again. Premier Ari Han stood on a balcony overlooking the city. She was Earth's new civilian leader, elected after the war. She was younger than most expected, but she had wisdom beyond her years. She had lost her family in the first attacks. She knew what war cost. The memorial is ready, an aide said quietly. Ari nodded. Today was the dedication ceremony. A monument to remember everyone who died. Human and alien alike. Because the war had taught humanity something important. Victory wasn't enough. There had to be meaning to the sacrifice. Admiral Hyun Choi walked onto the balcony. He had retired from active duty 6 months ago, but he still wore his uniform for official occasions. He looked older now. The war had aged him. The decisions he made haunted his dreams. Are you sure about this? Hyun asked. Some people think we should celebrate our victory, not mourn the losses. Those people weren't there, Ari said softly. They didn't see what we saw. What we did. Yes, we won. But we also became something darker to win. We need to remember both sides of that, the triumph and the tragedy. They walked together through the rebuilt streets. Aliens and humans moved past each other carefully. Trust took time, but it was growing. Slowly. Painfully. But growing. Ambassador Hana Kim waited at the memorial site. She was no longer Commander Kim. After the war, she had turned down every military promotion. Instead, she asked to return to diplomatic service. Someone needs to win the peace, she had said. Someone who remembers what war costs. Ambassador, Ari greeted her warmly. Thank you for organizing this. It needed to be done, Hana said. She looked at the covered monument. We killed a lot of people in this war. Some deserved it. Some were just following orders. All of them were someone's family. We need to acknowledge that. Captain Ji-woo Nam stood near the memorial with other veterans. He rarely spoke these days. The things he had done during the war were classified, the people he had killed, the operations he had led. He never regretted it. It was necessary. But it changed him. Made him quiet, made him understand that victory came with a price. Dr. Nari Song was there too. The weapons scientist whose inventions had helped win the war. She looked at her hands sometimes and wondered about the deaths they had caused. The quantum weapons, the biological agents. The terrible tools she had created. They worked. They killed efficiently. But efficiency wasn't the same as righteousness. We're ready to begin, an aide announced. The crowd grew silent. Representatives from all 12 former coalition species stood among the humans. Some looked angry. Some looked ashamed. All looked wary. The balance of power had shifted. Earth was now the dominant military force in the galaxy. Everyone knew it. Everyone feared it. Premier Ari stepped forward to speak. 2 years ago, humanity came to the stars seeking peace. We believed in cooperation, in unity, in building a better future together. The Galactic Coalition betrayed that trust. They attacked us when we were defenseless. They killed millions of our people. They tried to take everything from us. She paused, letting the words sink in. So we showed them what humans become when you attack our families. We showed them the warrior that lives inside every human heart. We fought with everything we had. We used weapons and tactics that the galaxy had never seen. We won. But victory came at a terrible cost. She gestured to the covered monument. We lost 15 million humans in the initial attacks. We lost 30,000 soldiers in the war that followed. But we also killed over 200 million coalition citizens. Soldiers and civilians. Guilty and innocent. We did what we had to do to survive. But we must never forget what we did. What we became. Under Sperna. Propramente. Also a. Medi under Spern. 2014. 2014. The cloth was pulled away from the memorial. It was a massive wall of black stone. On one side were the names of every human who died. On the other side were the names of every coalition citizen who died. Both sides equal. Both sides remembered. The crowd murmured. Some aliens looked shocked. Why would humans memorialize their enemies? This memorial is called the Two Faces of Mankind. Ari continued. One face seeks peace, builds friendships, creates beauty. The other face fights when threatened, protects the innocent, destroys enemies. Both faces are real. Both faces are human. And the galaxy will always see both. Former High Overlord Vecthar was in the crowd, forced to attend as part of his surrender terms. He looked at the memorial with complicated emotions. Hatred for losing. Fear of human power, but also something else. Respect, perhaps. The humans could have killed every Vrakul, could have destroyed their world. Instead, they showed mercy after victory. A mercy Vecthar had never shown to others. Admiral Hune stepped forward next. I led Earth's forces during the war. I gave the orders that killed millions. I activated weapons that should never have existed. I did it to save humanity, and I would do it again if I had to, but I hope I never have to. He looked directly at the alien representatives. The Galactic Coalition lied to us, betrayed us, tried to conquer us. You failed. Earth is now the strongest military power in this galaxy. We have weapons that can destroy planets, ships that can eliminate entire fleets, soldiers who fight like demons. And we will never give up that strength. The aliens shifted nervously. Was this a threat? But, Hyun continued, his voice softening slightly, we don't want to be conquerors. We didn't come to the stars to build an empire. We came seeking friends, partners, a place to belong. The coalition destroyed that dream, but maybe we can build a new one, together, if you're willing to try again. Ambassador Hana Kim took over. Earth proposes a new organization. Not a coalition. Something different. A galactic assembly. Where every species has an equal voice. Where disputes are settled through discussion, not deception. Where peace is maintained not through trust alone, but through strength and deterrence. She pulled up a holographic document. We call it Peace Through Strength. Every member species maintains defensive forces. Every member has access to defensive technology, but we also share resources, knowledge, and culture. We help each other. But we don't pretend that the galaxy is perfectly safe. We remember that evil exists, and we stay ready to fight it. Who would lead this assembly? Asked Ambassador Kelvin, who had somehow survived the war. His voice was weaker now. Less confident. No one leads, Hana said. We guide together. But Earth will maintain the strongest military. Not to conquer, but to protect. We learned that bullies only understand force, so we'll be the biggest bully in the galaxy, and we'll use that power to stop other bullies from rising. It wasn't a perfect solution. Many humans felt they were being too soft. Many aliens felt they were being dominated. But it was a start. A new beginning built on hard lessons and painful truths. Over the following months, the new Galactic Assembly took shape. Earth shared defensive weapons technology with member species. Not the worst weapons. Not the planet killers, but enough that every species could defend themselves. Enough that mutual assured destruction became reality for everyone. It was, Hana reflected, a very human solution. We'll all have weapons. We'll all be strong. And we'll all know that fighting each other means everyone loses. Peace through fear, peace through respect. Not the peaceful utopia Ambassador Taemin had dreamed of, but something real. Something that might last. Former coalition species began working with humans. Slowly, carefully. Scientists shared research. Engineers built projects together. Artists created new forms of expression that mixed human and alien aesthetics. Children of different species played together in parks on colony worlds. Captain Ji-woo started a training program for the new galactic peacekeeping force. He taught aliens how humans fought. Not so they would fight like humans, but so they would understand that war wasn't a game, wasn't honorable, wasn't glorious. War was survival. And if you had to fight, you fought to win. Dr. Nari worked on rebuilding technology, helping repair worlds damaged in the war. She couldn't undo the weapons she had created, but she could use her brilliance to create new things, better things, things that helped instead of hurt. Admiral Hyun lived quietly on Earth. He declined every award, every honor. He had done what was necessary. Nothing more, nothing less. He spent his time teaching at the military academy, making sure the next generation remembered. Peace was always the goal, but being prepared for war was what made peace possible. Years passed. New species discovered faster than light travel and encountered the galactic assembly. They heard the stories of Earth, of the species that came in peace and was betrayed, of the war that followed, of the humans who fought without mercy and then offered it after victory. Some new species were intimidated, some were curious, all were respectful. They learned quickly that humans would be your best friend or your worst enemy. The choice was always yours to make. On the 10th anniversary of the war's end, Ambassador Hana returned to Viridian Prime for another ceremony. This time, she came to add something to the memorial. A plaque at the base. She had written the words herself. She read them aloud to the assembled crowd of humans and aliens. Here lies the truth about humanity. We are creatures of contradiction. We create beauty and horror. We seek peace and wage war. We show mercy and fury. We are not perfect. We are not simple. We are human. And the galaxy will always need to remember both sides of what that means. We tried peace. When it was taken from us, we showed the other side. May all species learn from this. May all species remember. Peace is not weakness, but neither is it guaranteed. Stay strong. Stay kind. And never mistake one for the other. The crowd was silent. Then, slowly, they began to applaud, humans and aliens together, remembering the past, building the future, understanding that peace wasn't given. It was earned. It was maintained. It was fought for. Commander Hana Kim, now simply Ambassador Kim, looked up at the stars above Viridian Prime. Somewhere out there was Earth. Home. The world that had sent her on a mission of peace and then a mission of war. She had fulfilled both, and somehow, impossibly, they had built something new from the ashes. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And maybe that was enough. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity had two faces, the open hand of friendship and the closed fist of war. Both were always there. Both were always ready. And the galaxy would never forget which one they had called forth when they chose to attack Earth. Peace reigned across the stars. Not because everyone was good, but because everyone understood the cost of being bad. And at the center of it all stood humanity, the species that tried peace first and won the war second, forever watching, forever ready, forever human.